Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Anandyto Augusta Wicaksana, NIM 33 from A class, Seminar on Literature 2021. And in here, I'm gonna make a presentation about a representation of gender discrimination and feminism in Hidden Figures, novel by Margot Shetterly. Next is introduction. The background of the study. This is a non-fiction film and also book that written by Margot Shetterly in 2016, and it is has the same film name in the title, also Hidden Figures, directed by Theodore Melfi and Alison Schroeder. And this biographical novel tells about three black American women who overcame discrimination as a woman and as a African American, even as they were working at the National Aeronautic and Space Agency, or NASA. The writer attempts to explain the life stories of the black woman in the generation of World War, and at the same time, they must face discrimination and segregation. Okay, next is gender discrimination. It is the unequal or damaging treatment of individual or companies of people based on gender. A clear parable in normal life associated with gender discrimination is sexual harassment. For example, may be visible particularly through treating someone unfairly based totally on their gender in educational or extracurricular activity and educational programs and etc., which distinguishing public facilities between men and women. Next is feminism. Feminism is a series of social, political, and ideological movements that aim to build and achieve gender equality in all aspects, from politics, economic, and the personal sphere to the social sphere. And many times people misunderstand and think that feminism is an ideology that hates men. Okay, next is problem identification. It is first a lot of gender discrimination that reflected by women in this novel or in this film in the title Hidden Figures. And the second is the idea of feminism of woman right reflected and how it can affect it in Hidden Figures novel. Okay, next is problem statement. Number one is what kind of gender discrimination that reflected by women in Hidden Figures. And the second is how the idea of feminism of woman right can affect it in Hidden Figures novel. And the third is how feminism reflected in Hidden Figures. Next is objective of the study. The first is to find out the sort of gender discrimination provided in the story of Hidden Figures become discovered after studying and analyzing the information from the novel. And the second is to describe how feminism of woman right in Hidden Figures work. And the third is to reveal how feminism reflected in Hidden Figures. Okay, next is benefit of this study. First is theoretical benefit. This research is intended to provide new data and contribute it to the literature area. It affords a further perspective for a distinctive researchers who needs to conduct research specifically associated with literary study inside the Hidden Figures novel. And the second is practical benefit. The research is intended to increase the knowledge for other students and can be used as a future reference in the literature field from a mimetic approach. Okay, next is literature review, which is chapter 2. We talk about previous study. Uh, there are some studies which are dealing with this research. First is Novi Indra Lestari in 2018. In her research, the application of the mimetic approach in learning the religious values of novel Ketika Cinta Bertasbih 1. She described the application of the mimetic approach in gaining knowledge of the spiritual value of the novel Ketika Cinta Bertasbih 1, and the concern of the research is the student of grade 11 Pasundan 1 Cianjur. And next is McCarty, Adria, Matuzitz, and Jonathan in 2021 in their research titled Power of Hidden Figures, a Critical Discourse Analysis. This article examined the idea of energy in the 2016 movie Hidden Figures. And the third is from Agus Afandi in 2019 in his research titled Bentuk-bentuk Perilaku Bias Gender. This article shows up about the culture of the people in Indonesia has not understood the issue of gender and sex properly. And next is underlying theory. The notion of feminism from whom in 2002 158 state that in general feminism is an ideology of woman liberation due to the fact its approaches is the belief that women suffer injustice because of their gender. It means feminism is a movement of women which demands equality and rights. Furthermore, feminism may be interpreted as a motion struggle for women's rights in rejecting everything that is marginalized and subordinated with the aid of the lifestyle of men's domination in all elements of life. Feminism motion was born due to the gender discrimination and gender inequality. All of women began to fight for their right and equal, and they rejecting the entirely that is marginalized and subordinated by way of the tradition of men's domination in all life aspects. Okay, the second is the notion of literature. According to the Clare in 2004, 1. Literature is a written expression or various expression which is changed into literary works, but not every document can be categorized as literature. Literature can be interpreted as a source or reference used in various activities in the world of education or other activities. Literature can also be interpreted as a reference used to obtain certain information. Literature can be in the form of book or various other writings. And then next is the notion of sociology and literature. Sociology and literature cannot be said as two whole distinctive disciplines, as they can complement each other to get a better understanding of our society. But as history has been written, these two disciplines seems to remain apart. Thus, it's no wonder that the term of sociological study of literature came very late, which has been compensated by the good development of sociologists in religions, politics, education, social change, and etc. But, unfortunately, the knowledge of these disciplines lacks in scientific rigor, as some make a bad correlation between literary and social history. By Diana Lawrenson and Alan Swinger Wood in 1972. Paragraph 11. And then the next is the notion of gender discrimination. Gender discrimination is one of the issues that discussed in this study. It is essential to talk about more deep about gender discrimination, women's problem that still shows up in this modern generation due to women regarded as weak and not crucial in social life. And according to Hum in 2002, in 112, discrimination is an unsightly treatment of women primarily based on patriarchal perception that women have undesirable attributes. Hum says that discrimination statically means that a woman can be rejected for a job not only due to the fact she is a woman, but because she thinks statically much more likely to pay extra attention to her families than men. And from this statement, we realize that there nonetheless inequality between men and women in every element of life, particularly in the field of work. In general, gender discrimination is inspired through a wrong stigma about gender in a community. Kotima in 2009 said that gender discrimination is a result of some elements such as marginality, subordination, stereotype, violence, and double burden. Next is research method, which is chapter 3. The type of study. This research is categorized as a qualitative research type. And Croswell, in his book Research Design, said that qualitative research is a method for checking out objective theories with the aid of analyzing the connection among variables. Those variables can be measured commonly or instruments so that number data can be analyzed. The use of statistical technique. And then object of the study is the material of object of this research is novel entitled Hidden Figures, written by Margot Shetterly. It is a 2016 non-fiction novel. This biographical novel tells about 3 black American women who overcame discrimination as women and as African American while they were working at NASA. And the writer used his concern of gender discrimination and feminism in the novel as the formal object. The writer trying to analyze how many kinds of gender discrimination and how feminism reflected and affected black women in that area based in Hidden Figures novel. And the writer using a sociological perspective to analyze the novel. And then type of data and data resource. The type of data in this research is novel Hidden Figures, that using the original word that came from Hidden Figures novel, and it will be used in this research area, text in the form of word, phrases, sentences, and dialogues in the novel which are related to the main issue of this research. And this research are using two kinds of data research. The first is primary data research. The primary data research for this research is a novel entitled Hidden Figure written by Margot Shetterly. And the secondary data research is from journal, books, and websites which discuss about the issue and previous studies. Okay, next is a method of collecting data. In the content of this research, the researchers collect data from the research location through using several data collection methods. According to Bogdan, data collection tradition like participant observation, unstructured interview, and document analysis. There are several steps of collecting data. The first is reading the novel Hidden Figures repeatedly to understand the story. Second is understanding certain parts of the novel which related to the main issues of the research. Third is taking notes and marking important parts in the novel related to the main issues of the research. The fourth is classifying the problem and finding the data. Next is data analyzing process. The qualitative research process of analyzing consists of three activities, namely data reduction, data display, and conclusion drawing. This is by Matthew B. Miles and A. Mitchell Haberman in 1994, paragraph 10 until 11. Data reduction refers to the stage in which the researcher choosing disentangling, centering, and changing the information that shows up in research, which can be done by summarizing and paraphrasing the data. The data display refers to a process in which the researcher is collecting some information that will be discussed in the research. A certain part of the novel which be deemed as interesting or important is being used to continue the analysis. The data will be determined in the form of charts, graphs, and matrices. And conclusion drawing. To draw the conclusion from the data that has already been obtained, it will be the last activities in the data analyzing process. So yeah guys, I think that's all my presentation about this novel analysis about feminism and racism in Hidden Figures novel by Margot Shetterly. I do make a mistake in making this video. I'm sorry for that. And thank you so much for watching and see you in my next video. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.